Okay, now how to work with Shakespeare.
Can you see?
Yeah, nice.
Can you actually see David?
Yeah. Okay. Well, apart from your head.
Well, exactly. That's what the thing is. I cannot move that on the. If you can, please just sit there. Oh, yeah, just a move. Yeah, just no, Jackie. No. Otherwise,
Yeah,
I have to go that
okay,
way.
so I think we should have an additional challenge.
Do you know what?
Where
I'll sit here.
Emil does it left hand.
Oh yeah, that's true. I could do yes. But yeah. So okay.
Yeah, that's great. If you just
Now-
move, can you move back?
A bit backwards. A bit back. Boing. So look, there's a movement there of his. See that? Look at that. All that line coming through his head. Look there. So it's a line which goes something like that. Yeah. There. Which is this one line there. That's one. Say, define his head, which is there. About that long, elongated. Then his arm goes, there's a line there which, look, and again, these are very average lines that I'm putting my, now here to see where I'm going with this. And then you have the shoulder, his shoulder is there, I'm talking about that line. And if you have the other arm, moving it from there, the top of the arm is very close to his head. So there's a line which is not exactly straight down, is a slightly bended that way, that line, there, and then it moves up here. So that line of his shoulder goes, or if it was to be extended, it will almost reach his head, or at least his hair, something like that. Then that arm moves right down here, there, and hand. Now that hand probably is huge on me, and I know I can see it's really big, but where the hand ends, it's roughly there by the end of his head. So I should go and end it here. So that means that the hand should not exceed this line. So yes, I went really long and didn't think of that, but now I can check it down. So it's something like this. So upper arm, I mean, no, upper arm is that, lower arm,
Forearm.
forearm, thank you baby, forearm, hand, head, eyebrow, hair, there. Forearm, his left forearm, and then look at this line. That line goes really, the inside of the upper arm is there. So it's there, that one here. Upper arm again here. And now let's continue with that line. That line will give you, which is the spine. It's actually the spine. What I'm actually drawing is the spine, which we cannot see, but we know is there. Then you have the thigh, which continues there, and the calf. So spine, thigh, calf. And from what I've seen earlier on, when we draw it earlier on, is that he's the middle of the whole figure. I will check it again. Take this end of his foot, yes. Lower his arm, his hand. You go up, and that's his. It's almost the middle of the whole image. So under his arm, under his hand here, you got that, which is basically, say that if I want to finish it here with his foot, take that, move it up. That's a bit, it's short, it comes there. So that means I can easily move it down here and do that actual line here, which is the plinth where the Shakespeare is actually being rested there, the plinth. And his foot, it's, well, calf from that line, which I can see a calf is under that influence of that line, under the influence of this line. And then you have the thigh, which moves a little bit there. That's the charcoal doing that. Thigh, move it down there, calf again. And don't forget, when you come here, the foot, it's not actually, it doesn't go that way, it moves inwards. Because it's being turned towards us. And then you have from the arm you have his what's that called? Belly, yes, rib cage, sorry, not the rib cage, not belly, hip, the hip right up here, and you have the thigh again, and there. That's pretty much the figure. Now I need to work more. Well, I can use some more accuracy on that from that this time and on. Basically just doing that side, a bit of dark here, darks there. Again, that's charcoal, that's why it's doing so much noise. Then you have the folds, which are here, really close to the folds here. So you see, although I came with the thigh a little bit further out, but actually the folds will trim it down. And not only that, is that also I need to be a little bit more precise to that side of his thigh here, crotch area. Chocolate. Then you have folds here, folds of his jacket or whatever he's wearing. Then you have a darker of his jacket here, darker that area which is his plinth. Then I had earlier on a little bit here issue with that, the book. So let's see, the book is actually, because we've seen it, don't forget, we've seen the image from low, we're low and the plinth and the sculpting is high up. So we've seen it in perspective. But when you see it from lower to, from down up, we see those lines like this. The book is moving that way, the book is moving inside there. Books are, you see those lines are actually in perspective, they move that way. They're not horizontal, they're moving that way. And the book and the plinth itself, and the papyrus, which I think is a papyrus, isn't it? Or paper, not papyrus, paper that is right in that statement here. Well, that's basically the image, pretty much. That is. First of all, let's continue with that spine line and be faithful to that spine line there. And possibly I need to go and make it a bit darker, wider here this time. Yes, wider there on that part. And work now with the folds. Now if I squint my eyes, this area is very undefined. There's a lot of darks here which I cannot see actually what's going on. But I can see what's going on just there, which is basically that defines my lower thigh here. Sorry, calf, not lower thigh, calf here. So that's the calf, and the calf of his left foot coming down here, and the foot itself right down there. Merge those darks together here, and that's his kneecap. There. How can I define it? Well, a few lines, you don't need more than that. And these are, he's actually wearing, not trousers, these are trousers that wore, well...
Breeches.
Yes, breeches. I didn't know, but thank you, David. Yes, which they had, they were very popular for the aristocrats, weren't they? On that century. Since it's gone by. Well, David would know, and Mark would know better about that.
Hang on a minute, you're 40,
That's not
not
my
400
little
years
nephew.
old.
Talking to my little nephew, so did you grow up in a cave? No, I was brought up in Wales, but
Well, yeah.
we didn't live in a cave.
We moved on from caves to mud huts then.
Okay, cheeky. Well, imagine how they see us so old.
Yeah, just because he lived in the Forest of Dean, thought he was
Yeah, exactly.
above the world. Yeah, thank you. Actually, I don't know. Mark never said what.
No, it's all right. We're learning. I'm learning. What I've done, I've actually lowered his fist or hand, which goes there. I've lowered. It's moving there. Hair here. Hair. And don't forget to add some darks on the background because you have all the trees around him still in nature. So they're all genuine, the trees are genuine, just black and white photography. Printed. That's the figure basically. Now, I can say more here and do a little bit more detailed on that, but I don't think you would need that. You can come to this stage in about 45, half an hour, and then I can continue with more details if you want. But at this point, I would like you to start with this. With as far as that. So don't forget that line. That will define his the movement and the turn of his body. And again, as I said, come to that stage, and I'll continue with that a bit more. But pretty much, the movement is there, the gesture there. Okay. So let's continue with our drawing. Bit of sharpening of the charcoal. So that'll give us a very sharp edge. And lower the head. The head here. Lower the hairline. Eyebrow line. Eye cavity. Nose. Moustache. There you got the shadow here. His fist comes all around and wraps up the hair down here. And again, fist on here. Shadow, torso, much darker here, but also keep it in mind, it is a sculpting, so don't ever forget that. So it cannot go too dark. That's the background shadow. Obviously you have the trees at the back. I want to be quite general with that, not any particular darks here. Well, here I'm replicating that trunk which goes there, but I like it's not about the trunk. It's the darks that the trunk gives me. It creates a beautiful cast shadow. Then you have the upper arm here, and as I said, how to bring and how to show that upper arm and lower arm moving into each other together like that. So create the impression that it's coming low here. There you go, the whole hand here. Then you have the thumb and the index finger. A bit lighter there. Trying to keep it fresh. And what do I mean by that? Not too many darks. So trying to to keep the mistakes at a minimum by observing a lot more. So that is very dark here. That creates a beautiful fold, but in the fold then it comes back to, and then it comes back there. It cuts here. I don't have to be too detailed or copy each and every turn and twist of the folds there, but to replicate few of them. Then you have a much darker area here, which creates the impression again of depth. And calf. And also all this dark area, which I'm keeping it for a darker contrast. We have a calf here. Thigh. This is basically the jacket here. The paper that he's holding on here. Not too much detail. I'm not particularly interested in that. Or you can create a little bit of a little something here, not leaving it completely light and bright. Okay, going back. So getting back to it with a charcoal pencil, I've just changed it from charcoal, willow charcoal, to charcoal pencil now. Because I'll have a little bit darker darks, and probably a little bit more like perfect lines, especially when you work on folds here. And those dark on the edges could go a little bit darker. There. Keep now the hand a bit more highlight, with a bit more highlight. And you have the upper index finger, middle finger, highlight on the middle finger, the hand as well, a little bit lighter. That's better. And keep those areas slightly lighter. Creating that impression of folds coming towards us. The impression of the rounded arm here. And the shadow under the head, chin, ear. Give the head a little bit more of a clear indication of where the nose goes, which is here. Eyebrow. Hair. Hand coming towards the face here, making the hand a little bit more visible here. There. Then you have the moustache. A touch for the lower lip. There. Again, it's moving. Normally I do exaggerate things, and I exaggerated this one as well. I've done the head even more turned to the left than what actually the sculpting does have it in the original stance. But I do say that is that sometimes to exaggerate is not a bad thing. I know I didn't do it on purpose, it just came out. I think I normally exaggerate things. I'll make young people look a little bit older, older people look a bit younger. Don't know, it's just the way sometimes you perceive things. But to be honest, because it's not a portrait, I'm a little bothered about that particular thing here. And bring the coffee lighter here, lighter on the cheek, on the heel, collarbone. No, sorry, lighter here on the calf. A ring here, just a ring to show that he's wearing those tight robes that they were wearing in over the centuries. Have the folds here, and that's his jacket. And make it that a little bit lighter to create that fold here. As I said, darkening that with a pencil. That's the background. Show a little bit of tree trunk. Not necessarily I want to show the tree trunk, it's basically as I said, it's the contrast that it gives you at the back. So the folds of his dress, collar, lines for his dress here, break those darks, break those twists and turns here, and again, these are folds here. His eyes, eyebrow, nose, eyes here. Just a touch, just a touch. Do not overdo it, because again, it is a sculpting. Don't want to do a real man there. So the darks have to be not too dark, although you can make them very, very dark. It's a style. If you're going for that style, which I've done quite a few dark sculptings previously, but I don't think that needs to be, because firstly it's far away. Secondly, being far away from the ground, you see less and less detail. You see, I'm giving it a dark tonal value to the face. And I'm giving it also a dark tonal value to the whole of the dress here. There. Darker tonal value to the dress again. I'm not being very accurate with the hand. It's a bit lower. Again, it just gives me the gesture that I was after. That's what I'm more interested in. and as it moves down, and it's quite dark, so I'll give it a little darker tone. I can break those shapes here and create more folds here, folds which come that way. It creates the impression of the dress moving outwards and creating again it's that roundness of his arm, upper arm and then lower arm. There, lower arm here, fold, and then that darker bit here, darker, which creates the impression of the fold here of his dress. Now, because we are outdoors, actually I haven't done that before. Well, not on our lessons, so because we are outdoors, I'm actually tempted to give a little bit of information here, what's going on. So you see I'm doing those little dots, which are basically the leaves. So it looks like it's an outdoor sculpting. A bit of a deformed way of creating the trees here. A bit of deformation because the trees are not a straight, it's not a straight trunk. And again coming down here, darker. And darker here. Just give it a bit more dark, it creates more volume and brings the thigh forward. So it brings the thigh forward. Oh, it gives it more contrast as well. Not only brings it forward, it gives contrast. Just notice it. Is that kind of like a ribbon here on his kneecap? And I'll share that dark with the calf of his left foot. And a lot darker. A lot darker down here. Which is right down here on his plinth. And then paper. So I've just started to darken with a stump a few things here to keep the freshness of. Actually, I did work a lot on it, as in used a lot of charcoal that we've done so far, and I think I wanted to, but I've changed my mind and said, well, let's use a little bit of a stump here and see how things go with the stump, because I wanted to spread those darks onto the landscape as we're outdoors. And I was thinking, okay, well, let's do something which deserves to be outdoors looking, is it? Spread the leaves over here, keep them just around the sculpting. So worked on darks a little bit more. Let's get some lighter back, as in the folds here, but not too bright, otherwise it spoil the movement of, or it will spoil the folds that I'm doing here. Don't want to emphasize the folds way too much, just keep them in the dark. Then you have the kneecap here, and the ribbon that he's got here. Well, I don't know what it is, but I'm just calling it ribbon on his kneecap. And also bring his foot forward. He's wearing a shoe, obviously, although you don't see it. That doesn't mean he's not wearing it. He's wearing a shoe, of course. Shoes. You've got the shin here. His back foot. Calf. A little bit of folds here. Folds here as well. And the roundness of his arm here. There. And the whole length of his hand. Trying to get it. Obviously he's got some buttons here, right? Jacket buttons, and some highlight or some suggestions of folds here as well on his body. Just a suggestion. Doesn't have to be too much of an information. Folds here. His hand holding his face. There you are. Bit of hair all around here. Bit of highlight on his shoulder as he's looking down. Highlight on his folds here. Kind of highlight here on that. As I said, I don't want to be too edgy and too detailed because I want to keep those edges further back. All right then, okay, that was it. Too much detail, on the other hand, is not good because I want to keep it fresh, as in not too much detail. To leave to the viewers to complete some of the actions. Instead of me doing everything, the viewers can also say, well, that's this, and that's a fold, and that's this, and that's that. That's a bit of a perspective there. So don't show everything. Knuckles. Again there, okay. And that is it. Okay, don't want to do more to it. I think it's enough information here. Hill. Suggestion of folds again here. And that area is very, very, very dark. Now, do I want it very dark? Maybe a bit darker than that. Just about darker than that, than the calf. Okay. Don't want too dark lines around here because, as I said, I want to keep it at a minimum, the edges here. I mean the background. Well, we said we have tree here, and branches, tree itself. Okay, more than enough. All right, we'll see you then on to the next one.